Have you ever felt stuck trying to meet the diverse writing needs in your primary classroom? Today, I'm going to show you how differentiated writing paper can transform frustration into flourishing young writers. Hi, I'm Marion. Welcome to my channel. I'm a retired classroom and special ed teacher with a diverse background in education, from developing district-wide literacy programs and TESOL training to serving as a homeschool supervising teacher and classroom aide. I've gathered insights across many roles and conferences. Today, I'll share how differentiated writing paper can transform frustration into flourishing young writers. The research and strategies I'll be sharing with you today will help you to energize young writers with the power of differentiated writing paper. So as I just mentioned, I have taught in a diverse range of capacities from K to 9, including specialist subjects like math and science. But my most recent teaching assignment was a number of years in a primary classroom, a multi-grade, grade 1-2 classroom. And of course, we always did the assessments. And on the first day of 1 year in particular, I was encountering a range of writing abilities in my grade 1 class, the broadest range I've had all along. And this was from a pre-K level to an advanced level, and including a student with ESL needs. And so I was wondering, how could I support all these learners? And I will tell you that differentiated writing paper was a key part of the answer. Of course, differentiated instruction is essential, especially in early childhood education, where students' needs vary so significantly. But I also believe it's necessary throughout education, but that's a subject for a different video. The differentiated writing paper helps cater to these diverse needs, providing an effective solution. So I want to draw from a 2019 article in the Learning Difficulties of Australia Bulletin, which quoted research by James and Berninger in their 2019 research paper, which highlighted the importance of authentic letter formation for literacy-related brain development. And that's the key purpose here. Um, Unlike typing, writing activates the brain's reading network. All of these neurons are interconnected. And so when students first printed letters freehand, as opposed to tracing letters, they developed better neural networks for the letter recognition needed for reading. Because all of the letters looked a little bit different, so they had a broader understanding of what could be acceptable as that letter, right? So we need to start to think different fonts, or if they're reading their peers writing during writing time, to do some peer editing. All of these things are impacted by what they accept as that letter, that their understanding of what that letter formation looks like. And so this is one of the things that they found with the understanding of handwriting, that having students handwrite letters as opposed to trace letters, and form the shapes independently as opposed to just tracing over a form, is essential for that proper development of their understanding of the letter for reading. So in other words, teachers need engaging ways for students to practice a lot of letter writing, and in order to connect the shape they make with the sounds of the letter. So the challenge for teachers then is how to best facilitate actual writing activities for all of the students. So there are various types of differentiated writing paper. And first of all, I want to be clear just one more time. We're not talking paper that has the prompt on it that students trace over, unless they're also being required to write independently without any tracing. Okay, so you can have writing papers. Once we've covered that, let's get into the types of writing paper. There's writing paper with no lines. In other words, that's there for a child to draw a picture. This is developmentally the earliest stage of learning to write. And students are creating the story in their mind, and they may share that orally. And as we all know, oral language is the precursor to written language and reading. So all of those parts of literacy go together. Then the next stage would be wide, um, wide spaces with the interlining in it. And those are for students just beginning to write, because they've got the wide lines, there's still a big spot for the picture. And the wide lines mean there's not a number of lines on the page, so students aren't overwhelmed by the expectation of what they have to write. It may only be room for one sentence, but it's the free form writing, and still they're telling that story with the picture, and the two would be connected. So that's the first, well, the second stage of writing paper, but the first stage with actual lines and writing. Now, I should go back just a little bit. If you do use the blank page, and on the screen to the right, you'll see the four different levels of writing paper there. And you can see on the one on top there, there's a little pink sticky note, because students can label them and you can help them copy, because you're not tracing, you're still copying. They can copy that word, and so they can start to label and practice connecting those pictures with writing. So there can be a little bit of writing at that first developmental stage. And then the next picture, a little bit right, you can see there's not many lines for writing on that one. And so it's not overwhelming to the student. Then you continue to look further to the right, and you've got the lines become a little bit closer together, but there's still the interline to guide their handwriting and their letter formation, to support neat printing, and again, the bring it closer to what they would see in a book. And then on the far right, you see there's no interlines. These are for close to fluent students. And at this point, we're considering them independent writers in the sense that they're fairly confident in writing. They've still got a lot of growth with description and understanding genres, and maybe spelling, and sentence formation and punctuation and all of those things. But the actual getting the letter onto the page and putting the space between the words and keeping the letters between the two lines, those things are in place. Okay, so all of these different types of writing paper cater to different developmental stages in writing, and these encourage students to practice their letter formation and letter sound connection at the particular level that they are working at developmentally. I have taught a class with students ranging from not knowing their alphabet to easily writing at a late grade 3, early grade 4 writing level, as I mentioned earlier. Each of these students had very different needs. And I have to say that my pre-K student was also learning English, so the alphabet was actually a new thing, and we didn't have CVC letters. So it was a lot for that student. And again, coming back to my diversity of experience, having worked in learning support as well, and so I was in the classrooms at various grades. For all of those years, I saw students who were further behind struggle not only with their work, but also with their self-esteem. And we can't fix all things, but we can enhance our inclusive practices. And this is the different differentiated writing paper does help them improve their writing, but it can also be more inclusive, and enhance our inclusive practices to support that self-esteem, as all the students are working on the same thing, just on different paper. So I love to enhance writing with resources like word books, Lego, wooden blocks, plastic animals, vocabulary charts. These resources were a tremendous support to students who are more visual or tactile than verbal. The tools were available to everyone and further differentiated our writing time by enabling my struggling writers to create an engaging story in their mind as they built it with these tools. Then they had the supports to facilitate their actual letter formation and spelling. So I am not saying that differentiated spelling paper or differentiated paper on its own. I mean, if if you're not providing them with any of the tools, it will still benefit them greatly. I'm just saying I love to see the entire process of differentiation, and I'm not implying that just differentiated writing paper is enough to say that that writing class is differentiated. I just want to establish the distinction there. So differentiated writing prompts do play a critical role in the classroom, and when they're combined with the other tools, they further support all students in focusing their energy on a specific idea. So now we're talking adding a prompt to the writing paper. So you can just have a piece of writing paper that's either just room for a picture, or you can get the little workbooks that just have blank pages or half pages. You can get all that. Now I'm talking about adding a prompt. So giving students a topic to write on. Too often for students, the hurdle of knowing what to write is overwhelming for students. And again, there is advantage to having students come up with their own ideas, and sometimes they've got something on their minds and they just want to get their topic onto paper. But that is not the case for all students at all times, and a variety is always a good idea. So by providing all students with writing prompts, this enhances the sense of inclusion, building engagement and community. So all students can often be tackling a common theme or prompt, which promotes the collaboration and peer learning, which enhances that feeling of community and belonging. However, one thing I've also done is given students the privilege of, I'll pull up five spring theme or four, I'll go four fingers up, four spring themes, or I'll pull up four from the same genre, not the same, like theme, but the same genre. And students can choose their prompt at their differentiated level. So there's lots of choice that you can use with differentiated paper and differentiated writing prompts. So of course, using the same writing prompt on differentiated writing paper supports your inclusiveness. These prompts provide a shared learning experience where every student can engage with the material at their level of ability. And in my class, students had multiple opportunities to share their stories. Sometimes it was in front of the whole class. As a matter of fact, when we wrapped up a genre, so when we were finished fairy tales, everybody got to choose the favorite fairy tales from all the fairy tales they'd written. And then they really dug into revising and editing that. We took about a week to do some serious work on it and coloring it and just making it into a full blown picture. And we would staple them together like books. And then we would all sit quietly and respectfully and listen to each other's story being read out loud by the author. And of course, this really opens up your students' minds to all of the different ways that if you use a prompt, all the different ways that prompt can be approached or that genre can be approached. And so you can get these students who really struggle with their spelling come up with these really engaging stories. And again, we get to see each other's strengths that may be different but equal. So either way, when they use the same prompt, they learn so much about how others may perceive the same prompt and with how others might bring additional details. They'll learn about writing style and tone and so much more by sharing their writing. And again, these students may all be at different levels of writing ability, but learning from each other. So another thing about differentiated writing prompts, now just to clarify, differentiated writing prompts, what I'm saying is all the prompts are the same. They're differentiated just because of the different writing paper, okay? So you're looking for prompts that are open-ended enough and simple enough that they give the students lots of room to be creative, but they're focused enough that they tie the students in and help them, they don't become overwhelmed, prevent overwhelm. So the writing prompts provide more academic support for the diversity of learners you have in the class. And by providing that consistent theme through prompts, again, some students will feel less overwhelmed and will spend less time just, I can't get stuck on writing, that writing block. For example, a student who's just learning to write can draw and label a picture on the same topic that another student may write multiple pages about. However, the student who is just learning to write is not overwhelmed by the number of lines for writing on the page, as I mentioned earlier, and they can both share verbally a detailed story. This, again, I repeat this because it's important to understand this is what universal design for learning looks like. Is it makes it you're implementing a strategy that may be to help. You may say, well, I'll get differentiated writing paper to help my pre-K student and my student who's writing at grade 3-4 level. But the truth is, it's available to all your students. That's the universal design, and it's for learning because you may discover that in some genres, fiction versus nonfiction might be an example, but not necessarily, but it might be. Some students have 2 pages to write, and other students have 10 pages to write off the top of their head because of their knowledge. And so making the paper acceptable or available to all the students and making it acceptable in truth creates that inclusiveness and opportunities for students to shine their growth, but also for you to see what they struggle with. Do they understand what a personal narrative is? And you might discover that because then they choose the writing paper that has fewer lines. So here's another opportunity to consider with differentiated writing paper and or prompts. If you look at the picture on the right, you can see on the top of the picture is an upside down teacher's binder looking at one of the prompts. And then, room for 3 students down below. And I'm not sure if you can really see it, but if you were able to, there's 3 different levels of writing paper here. And you could have a student that was just coloring a picture. The teacher can be teaching the same thing about punctuation, about how many colors to use in a picture, about outlining a picture, about spelling. I mean, you could be teaching a small group lesson that's appropriate to that group on anything. And those students can be working at the same table and each of them working on a different level of differentiated writing paper. So that's another really cool way to bring the differentiation together. And this lesson is pertinent to the child who has drawn a picture as to the child with multiple lines for writing who doesn't even need the interline. So, this practice will address diverse learning needs and potentially narrowing achievement gaps and definitely building inclusiveness. And if you're going to say or even think that a student who can only write one sentence is so much further behind a student who can write 3 pages, you're right and you're wrong. Um, the top student in my grade 12 class, and I mean blew everybody out of the water with 98% in chemistry and physics. Like, he was top of the charts of science, he was top of the charts with athletics. And I don't remember anything about arts, but I was in his English class, and this is decades ago, and he almost failed grade 12 because his grade 12 teacher, our grade 12 teacher, was determined that he should not graduate unless he could spell, and he could not spell to save his life. My daughter, who has a double major in history and English literature, and she liked the old English literature and Shakespeare, so not the easy to read stuff. And spelling is not a strength for her. Boy, does she understand history. Boy, does she understand literature. Boy, can she chew through a book and read a ton. But spelling is not her comfort zone. Connecting sounds and letters is not her strength. So there is real purpose in understanding that just because students appear to be that far apart in their understanding of how to write does not in fact mean dictate the future for that student. We just want them all to have the opportunity to do their best. So for this, the purpose of this video, as in hopefully all videos, is the point is that it's important for you to equip your classroom and your students with effective strategies and tools. There are many powerful tools that will support your students towards becoming engaged and confident writer, and there is no replacement for actually writing for develop that neuro pathways that they need. Writing is pivotal for their success as readers and spellers too. Differentiated writing paper and prompt supports young writers, and they can also transform your teaching approach while providing you with a simple, low prep way of creating a more dynamic, differentiated, and inclusive learning environment. Now, the prompts that I'm showing you in the video here are actually ones that I created because I believe in it. That essentially is why I'm sharing it with you. And they are available in my store on Teacher Pay Teacher, or TPT as we call it now. And you will find a link to those prompts and to my store in the description down below. Meanwhile, my heartbeat is all about sharing strategies for classroom management, which differentiation is one of the pillars that I believe of classroom management. And if you are ready to take your classroom management to the next level, download my gift to you, the free classroom management checklist. You can see it over on the far right over there. And if you use the bit.ly link, it's right up there, or you can scan the QR code on your phone, and that will help you get started on classroom management too. Thank you for watching me today. Please join me again, and don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell. You will see some suggested videos on the right of the screen. If you found this video helpful, and I really hope you did, please give it a thumbs up. And we hope you never miss an update. Thanks for joining me today. Bye now.